looking live at Columbia University, where today an anti-Israel student walkout is expected on this campus and at other colleges across the country. Students are planning to walk out just days after the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil. Now, Khalil was one of the leaders behind that anti-Semitic protest at Columbia University. A judge temporarily blocked Khalil's deportation. The White House sources are now telling Fox that Khalil is being investigated as a national security threat, and those are the grounds upon which they are seeking to remove that green card. They found anti-Semitic and hateful posts, they say, on his social media accounts. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, here with my co-host Emily Campagno and Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Ainsley Earhart, Fox and Friends co-host, and Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor, attorney, retired NYPD inspector, and founder of opsdesk.org. Well, here we go. Democrats signaling their support for the detained agitator who led the protest at Columbia. House Judiciary Dems are posting this picture yesterday with the caption, "Free Mahmoud Khalil." The White House responded with their own image in a quote from President Trump. His quote says, "This is the first arrest of many to come. We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who have engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel activity, anti-American activity, rather, and the Trump admin will not tolerate it." And earlier today, House Speaker Mike Johnson doubled down on Trump's statement.
Let me tell you something. I went face down the angry mob at Columbia at the height of that stuff, when the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters were there. I'm telling you, this is my own observation, not something I read in the newspaper. It was dangerous. The administrators there refused to take control of that campus. They have to keep control of campus. The first responsibility of an administration is ensuring the safety of the students who are paying tuition to be there, for crying out loud. This madness has to stop. We have to get control of it. This guy apparently was a mastermind of those very things, when the gnashing of teeth and the ripping of clothes and the people screaming at me, wanting to rip me limb from limb because I was there talking about moral clarity and how there's a right and a wrong. They were doing that. They disrupted the campus. They were threatening physical violence to their fellow students. If you're on a student visa, I'm going to say this clearly. If you are on a student visa and you're in America and you're an aspiring young terrorist who wants to prey upon your Jewish classmates, you're going home. We're going to arrest your tail, and we're going to send you home where you belong. And this is just getting started. So, look, I appreciate free speech. I used to defend it in courts, but this is far beyond the pale of that. When you are threatening your classmates and spewing anti-Semitism and all this hatred, it's enough.
You know, Ainsley, as I look at this, he's exactly right. You think about the Jewish students who in some cases were physically attacked on college campuses, made so uncomfortable that they could not go to their classrooms. One student was interviewed by Barry Weiss's The Free Press, and here's what she said. "Students who have faced anti-Semitic hostility on campus since October 7th see things differently." This is Shoshana Afzuin. Afzuin, who is Jewish, says she hasn't been able to attend many of her classes because protesters physically impeded us from doing so, or because professors have jumped on the bandwagon. "I don't think anyone who's fomenting pro-terror, anti-Semitic, anti-American rhetoric who is not a U.S. citizen has any inherent right to be here."
Right. He's a Hamas sympathizer. That's a terrorist organization. In their charter, they want to destroy Israel. That's what he believes. And we're allowing him to go to school here and be in charge and the leader of all of these protests. These Jewish students, I feel so sorry for them because they're only attacking the Jewish students. They're saying, "Are you a Zionist?" And if they say yes, you can't go to class. You can't pass by. That's called discrimination. I'm all for free speech, but this is a hostile environment. And Leo Terrell is going to 10 different universities under the Trump administration, and he's going to check them out. And if they are allowing anti-Semitism on their campuses, then he's going to say defund. Our federal dollars will not go to these universities.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it should be. You know, Harris, I go back to why are we here? And we are here because of October 7th, deadliest terrorist attack in Israel's history. And as I'm watching these images, look at this, okay, these protests that are happening on college campuses. As I'm doing this, I had a tweet that came in from IDF, and I just want to share it. Emily Damari is 28 years old. Emily Damari was one of the hostages taken on October 7th. 17 months since Dr. Hamas at Shifa Hospital treated Emily Damari, an Israeli returned hostage. She was wounded and in need of treatment. Instead of proper care, she lost 2 fingers, and you can see those lost fingers there. Instead of real treatment, her leg wound was left open, barely stitched. 17 months later, she is finally in Sheba Medical Center. This is a 28-year-old girl, pretty much the same age as these college protesters. Why not protest for her?
Well, look, I mean, this is based on hate. And you know what? I'm so glad you brought all of that up. That very beginning stage wasn't when the hate started. It's when we saw how much of it there was in the underbelly of this nation. And I say underbelly because, I mean, they weren't out protesting the way that they have been for more than a year. But they've always been. And CBS has reported on this national review. Andrew McCarthy, who you know we interview all the time on this network, legal genius, wrote this. Khalil was here as a lawful permanent resident alien. Now, I know you heard Speaker Johnson and others say a student visa. That's been updated. It's a green card. That's an LPR, lawful permanent resident alien, who was reportedly born in Syria but claims Palestinian ancestry. Andy McCarthy goes on to write, Khalil has been a prominent figure in the pro-Hamas agitation at Columbia as late as last week when he reportedly posed as a mediator between the university and quote-unquote protesters who occupied the Barnard College building where they were. An unlawful enterprise that resulted in 9 arrests. Now, Khalil was not among those arrests. He was later picked up. On some of the reasons that we're talking about, a previous investigation and in terms of national security for America. Anti-American, anti-Israel, hates Jewish Americans, and is prone to being in the company of people who love Hamas, pro-terrorism, and are agitators. Look closely at the video as police officers try to move in on them. They get violent as that happens. And what those police officers, and I'd love to hear what Paul has to say about this, they're not just holding the line. It's another line of sovereignty in this country. Yeah. If you want to be here, it's a privilege to be here. If you weren't born here, it's a privilege. You have a way to stay. And if you're not interested in being pro-American, why do you want to be here?
Emily, to the legal part of this, you know, you have a First Amendment right if you're a citizen in this country. You get the full panoply of your constitutional rights. When you're a legal permanent resident, otherwise known as an LPR, you do have some First Amendment protection, but the Supreme Court has said there are certain conditions on that. One condition is national security. Mark Goldfair points out this nuance, and I think it's an important one. Here's what he says. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, passed in 1952, a visa holder who endorses or espouses terrorist activity or persuades others to endorse or espouse such activity can be deported. The statute, Goldfair says, could survive what's called the strict scrutiny of the First Amendment. In other words, yeah, you can say what you want, but the line may stop at supporting terrorism.
Yeah, and let's talk about just plain speak for a second. You don't have a driver's license without condition. That's a privilege, not a right, as is being here as a legal alien. So the reality is that there are many conditions on the status if one is a legal, lawful resident here of any kind. And in fact, so important that Congress codified it. This goes way beyond state law or precedent. There are chapters upon chapters in our U.S. code that specifically describes conduct that would get you deported, including domestic violence, including aligning with terrorist activities. And I argue 2 additional ones, I think, that are specifically prescient here, which is 1, presence or activities in the U.S. where the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has reasonable ground to believe would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. Foreign policy consequences for the United States. Look, currently we have an American hostage. So how is it that this person's conduct, who is calling for the, quote, eradication of the Western civilization, of saying that all Zionists must die, aligning themselves with that? Well, guess what? There's another clause in here that says participation in the commission of severe violations of religious freedoms. I'll tell you this, it's not hard to find multiple clauses within this code where Congress felt it deeply important to articulate exactly what deplorable conduct would get you deported. So this guy, there's a ton of boxes to check. I have no problem with prosecution being successful on this. And the judge, by the way, putting that stymie for a second, that's merely procedural. Believe me, he will have the door closed behind him when he exits the United States.
And a political flex.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Paul, you know, I'm interested in Axios. They say that the administration will use AI technology to identify these individuals, and this apparently is a template, so it's not going to be just Khalil, there will be others, but among how they're going to use this AI technology to catch these pro-Hamas sympathizers, officials plan to examine internal databases to see whether any visa holders were arrested but allowed to stay in the country during the Biden administration. So really, people may be arrested and then just you get to stay?
Well, before the left melts down, let's remember that they almost certainly used the exact same tactic relative to Jan 6 when they went back and looked at all the video to see, well, you know what, did grandma's feet touch the Capitol steps? Because that was the metric for arresting them on federal trespass charges, okay? People who didn't even go into the Capitol. Different issue. Real quick, relative to the Biden administration. Here's where all of this is going, as Emily says rightly. This is going into court. The judge is going to want to have a procedural hearing to say, okay, yeah, the Trump administration is on solid ground legally here to get him out for all the reasons you articulate, but demonstrate to us how this guy specifically qualifies. Where's the evidence relative to Khalil that he qualifies under all of these auspices? And here's where the lack of cases that we've spoken about so much over the last 4 years on this couch and also on the various shows, there were no cases relative to the unrest, the destruction of property, the occupying of buildings, the kidnapping, from where I sit, of custodians and other staff members.
Yes.
That's right.
If you had the cases made, we'd have that evidence.
Yeah.
You'd throw right there. Here he is, right there. Boom. Okay, it's open and shut. What I want to see is what evidence do they have? Because we all know last year and years prior, all these professional protesters got away with it because there were no cases.
Yeah.
But
What
it's
about
de
the night they
facto.
took
If it's
over
criminal, if he broke the law, which he did, and including the campus code, that's de facto
Well-
squaring into this statute,
Well,
though.
and we all remember on the campus where they took over that hall. I mean,
Hamilton Hall.
they
Yeah.
had to take them food and water because the poor little protesters and
Yeah.
wannabe terrorists could not feed themselves or whatever the situation was.
Yeah.
I mean, they arrested a lot of those young people. So don't they have any cases? And if they don't, why not?
They should have
states.
had real deep
Yeah.
cases, and we should be able to demonstrate that. Let's see if they have it. My gut tells me they don't, although they're going to be looking at videos from news, et cetera.
What's the
Important
definition
to
of a
share, the
case?
Free Press is noting they have an administration source saying the administration is not suggesting Khalil broke the law. They're suggesting he's a national security
What do you mean they
threat.
don't
you
have
go.
a case? If
There you
you're
go.
arrested, isn't that considered a case?
Well, I don't know that he was arrested. That's my point. Do
No,
they
she
have
means
a
the prior
case
ones,
on-
though,
you know what I
Right.
mean?
like
the
at
ones that hold
USC and
themselves-
stuff.
So, well, those you should have, exactly. But in Khalil's case, the judge is
Yes.
going to say, show me the evidence.
Yep, and just reiterating, not alleging Khalil broke the law, alleging that he's a national security threat. Those are the facts we have at this moment.